This program has been sponsored by Old Time Italian Cuisine. Located at 612 Boston Street in Lynn, Mass., Old Time offers a variety of authentic Italian dishes ranging from pasta to chicken and more, with delicious desserts and fine wine. Bring your family down to their dining area or enjoy a drink at their full-service bar. Old Time Italian Cuisine. Great, authentic Italian food.
The City's Voice is brought to you by Salon 234. Salon 234 is dedicated to delivering the highest quality service. We pride ourselves on being a visionary full-service company specializing in the current hairstyle trends and skincare needs for all different types of skin. Our highly skilled staff are committed to meeting your needs with a spirit of caring and individual attention. Passion for excellence and dedication to the advancement of industry standards will continue to guide the evolution of our company. Come find yourself and unwind yourself.
Hi everyone, welcome to tonight's live debate here at LynnCAM TV. Tonight the debate is for our mayoral candidates, so Mayor Judy Kennedy as well as Tim Phelan. And we'll be starting in a moment. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to everybody who is in our studio audience for coming in, and also to everyone who's watching at home. We know this is a very important thing for you to find out more about your mayor and your candidate, Tim Phelan. So I wanted to take a moment to explain the rules. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer their questions. If the question requires a rebuttal, the rebuttal will be 30 seconds. There won't be any opening statements because you do know both candidates at this point if you live in the City of Lynn, but we will have closing statements at the end of the show. To keep track, I will be keeping time and I will be sending us to breaks, but for our two wonderful moderators tonight, we have Al Virgilio, former mayor of the City of Lynn, and Magnolia Contreras, who is a director of finances at Dana-Farber. Did I say it right? Your title, job title?
Director of Community Benefits.
Community Benefits, sorry, I knew that I might have been mistaken. And we will start off with one and then take turns with who asks the question and who answers first. So thank you, Tim and Judy, for being here. And we are going to start off, I believe, with Al tonight. Thanks,
okay.
Al.
First question, there are many qualities that make a good leader. What qualities do you possess, and why do you think they're important? And do you think you have a specific quality that might differentiate you from your opponent? And who?
I didn't pick one.
First, who wants to go first? We'll let you choose, Mr. City Council President Tim Phelan.
I think I have passion, integrity, independence. I'm not afraid to make a decision, and I think I have a very, very strong work ethic. These are important qualities. They're important because no one in the city should work harder than the mayor of the City of Lynn, or should put in more hours than the mayor of the City of Lynn. I've always thought that the leader of any organization should be the image and the face of the city. Like Bob Kraft is the face of the New England Patriots. Whatever the cause may be, Martin Luther King was the leader of his cause. We just celebrated 50 years of his "I Have a Dream" speech. And I think you lead by example, and that is leadership, and I think that's what I bring. I think I've showed it on the City Council, and I'd hope to be fortunate enough to do it as the mayor.
Okay, next we go to Mayor Judy Kennedy.
Well, first of all, happy Rosh Hashanah to those who are celebrating tonight. I know we're still half an hour off, but a little bit early. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in, and thank you to the live audience. Thank you to John Chapman and to our panel over here tonight. I think the one quality that I have that makes me an effective mayor is that I'm not afraid to do things differently. And I had to learn that because I didn't have a mentor when I came into City Hall. I had defeated the prior mayor in a very narrow and pretty acrimonious election. So he did not want to offer any words of support or advice, and in fact didn't even show up at the inauguration. The person who had been mayor prior to that had passed away. Although he had served 5 terms, he wasn't there for me to turn to for help, and I had to forge my own path. And I think it's very important to have a mayor who is independent thinking, who knows what she wants, who has laid it out specifically and has gone after it. And as I'm sure will develop during the course of the night, I will tell you some of those things that I campaigned on in 2009 and how I have had those and more come to fruition in the last 4 years.
I forgot to tell. I'll put my hand up. I just wanted you. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
The Lynn Chamber of Commerce recently completed a study with Northeastern University on the City of Lynn and on what it will take for Lynn to become a modern city of the future. How do you plan on utilizing the study recommendations, and do you agree with its conclusions?
Are we going to go back and forth so that I
yes.
answer first? Okay.
Mayor Kennedy.
I attended all of those meetings. I don't think you were there, Councilor Phelan, but I was there at all of the Barry Bluestone meetings to which you are referring, Ms. Contreras. And Barry Bluestone, for those of you who might not know, who recognize the name, is a renowned professor and the director of the Northeastern Center for Urban Policy. And he has put together a self-assessment tool whereby cities can gather together some of the decision makers in the city and look at a list of probably 200 different factors that make the city a viable place to come and do business. And we went through that self-assessment. We probably had 30 to 35 community leaders that sat around for multi-hour sessions and talked with Professor Bluestone. His one overriding conclusion was that we put too many impediments in the way of doing business here in the City of Lynn. I have tried very hard to remove those impediments. I've made technology available to people so that they can renew permits online as long as we don't, is that a?
That's 1 minute.
And that's all we have?
Yeah, 1 minute each and then
Okay.
a rebuttal. Okay.
I didn't know how long we had.
Yeah. Again, just so the audience, everybody understands that Cassie will put her hand up at 1 minute. You can finish your statement. And then we're going to go to the next question. And then if there is a rebuttal, you can just say, I'd like to respond to the previous question. We'll let you respond.
Okay.
But this is TV. It's not like at the temple, so we have to stay on time for the TV breaks and the
Sound
commercials.
bites.
For our advertisers.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, some of those meetings I was unable to attend because I have a full-time job and I have to work. But I actually independently met with Dr. Bluestone, who with Northeastern and the Dukakis Center, and gave my portion of the self-assessment. Not only that, I participated in a wide range of presentations, had Dr. Bluestone come in front of the City Council. It's a comprehensive tool. It's candid, it's forthright, it points out strengths and weaknesses of the city. He actually identifies them as the deal makers and the deal breakers in the City of Lynn. The deal makers are things such as low rent, the availability of Class A and Class B office space, the expediting permitting for existing businesses, as well as the weaknesses. And some of the weaknesses one of the biggest ones was the poor maintaining of public areas such as streets and sidewalks near available development sites. It's specifically in his plan. That's something that's addressable. That's something that is a major impediment in the City of Lynn. It is something that when people come in and they see it, it's something that's correctable and they don't understand why we don't correct it. Traffic congestion. I also actually recently met with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council that is also doing an assessment of the downtown area. It's very similar in nature, but it's going to be different. It's going to... Oh, I apologize.
You finish your statement. Okay. Why don't we go to the next question? Maybe we'll get a bell for the next setup, so that it's kind of hard to look at us.
Thank you.
Is the hand a warning, or is that a...
The hand is a time. I can give you this for a warning, but I don't want you to have to keep looking.
We need the bell. We should get the bell.
We'll get the bell.
We're going to get the bell. Thank you
Oh,
for...
we got the bell coming. All right. Live
right.
TV. Thank you. Bellboy, thank you.
As the next question be, as the leader of the City of Lynn, you are the person with the responsibility of leading, planning, and then implementing your plan. What methods and strategies will you use to ensure the success of your plan? So what is your plan for the city over the next 4 years, and how would you implement the plans?
Well, I don't know if we can really talk about an entire plan in 1 minute and how to implement it on something that's so diverse. However, I think the important thing is to create a culture where everyone is working together to solve problems, because a divided city cannot stand. We have to be able to work collaboratively. And to do this, you have to lead by example. If I'm fortunate enough to win this election, I'll be at City Hall early every single morning. I will meet with department heads every single week. I will bring in owners of undeveloped properties. I will mandate and hold department heads and employees of this city responsible to do their job. I am a communicator. However, I'm not afraid to talk to people. I'm not afraid to work with people. And if we don't do that, we're not going to move forward as a city.
I think one of the things you have to do as the mayor is tell people very clearly what you expect to do. And I looked back at some of my campaign materials in 2009. In those materials, I stated that I wanted to have Ladder 4 return to service, because at that time in 2009, everybody from Wyoming Square all the way down to the Linfield line did not have a ladder truck within their area in service. I said I would put it back in service full time, and I have. I said I would increase the numbers of the police and fire department. The police went from in the 160s to about 190 now, and the fire department went from similar numbers to about 190. I said that I would bring back the SROs. We now have 5 SROs in each of the middle schools. I said I would bring back the CLTs, known as the bike police. We now have a bike cop, a CLT, in every sector of the city. Wherever there's a patrol car, there is also a CLT to go along with it. I think that it's very important to let people know very clearly what you intend to do, and then set about with a plan to go ahead and do it. I have done that, and I am continuing to do that with things such as the automated trash pickup and the automation of the parking lots.
There you go.
Great.
Thank you.
Lynn recently floated a $4 million on multiple purposes. A $4 million on multiple purposes. It has pointed out that DPW is in need of equipment. Yeah, this is this question. 1 second, please. The question is. Lynn recently floated a $4 million bond on for multiple purposes that it has pointed out that DPW is in need of equipment. Would you use this? How would you use this money to address the need, or how else would you obtain the necessary funds for the equipment? I hope you understood the question.
First of all, I do. And first of all, people have to understand that the bond was specifically earmarked toward different things such as parks improvements, Fraser Field turf improvement, bathrooms over at Lynn Woods, resurfacing of tennis courts over at Breed, and so forth. The City Council passed an amendment to it that said that money cannot be used for any other purposes other than those enumerated in the bond until those items are completed. So we cannot use that money for city DPW equipment. Furthermore, I hadn't heard anything about increasing DPW equipment until the blizzard that we had last February of 2013. Then all of a sudden people wanted equipment. What they don't realize is that last year I authorized $350,000 to bring in new equipment to the DPW. Now the DPW is asking for $3.1 million. We cannot absorb that in one fiscal year. I am going to sit down with JT Goucher, our new interim DPW commissioner, who came on board last week, and ask him to prioritize those pieces of equipment and put them into an annual capital spending plan.
Thank you. The City Council did take the initiative and pass that $4 million bond. That $4 million bond put a substantial amount of money, $600,000, into the air conditioning at the Lynn Auditorium, the Fraser Field, Gallagher Park, the Lynn Commons Bandstand, the Lynn Commons Foundation repairs, 10 playgrounds and parks. However, bond counsel indicates when you pass a bond like that, you specifically have to use it underneath the parameters of what you actually put out there and vote on after you have your public hearing. So these monies cannot be taken and to purchase new DPW equipment. I have a difference of opinion as to money spent in the DPW. Right now, we spend approximately $160,000 a year to rent 5 pieces of equipment for 4 months in the winter months. And then they go back, and then we get the same pieces back, and we do the same thing year after year after year. I think instead of renting those pieces of equipment, we should purchase those pieces of equipment to create additional jobs. It'll pay for itself.
Yep.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
A lot of those pieces that we rent are very, very specialized, and it would be, I think, an unwise use of our money to pay for them outright when we can't use them for any other purpose other than to get rid of the snow. So the $160,000 a year, I think, is money well spent. We don't have to house those pieces of equipment. We don't have to maintain them. We don't have to care about them. We only use them when we need them.
Thank you. Next question. Lynn has many outstanding organizations that have the city's best interests as their goal. The Chamber of Commerce, the Business Partnership, Friends of Lynn Woods, Friends of Lynn Beach, ECHO, and many other groups. How would you reach out to these organizations and make them part of your team in helping to reach your vision for the City of Lynn?
A city is only as good as its parts, and those are great organizations, and there are many other great organizations out there. Neighbor to Neighbor, the Highlands Coalition, the Hispanic Business Association, a wide range of Cambodian groups. They bring a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of talent to this city, and we have to bring them in and work together. What I would propose is that we have a citywide summit. Bring in every single group, every single organization. I don't care if it's an association, a pond association, a sports entity. Bring them together, have a wide summit. And what should result out of that summit is not just a report, but what I would do is I would create an actual cabinet in the mayor's office of representatives from each of these organizations that can be heard by the mayor's office on a consistent basis. Thank you.
I have met with virtually all of the organizations that you mentioned and more. And I can give you one of the best examples of collaboration amongst all of those groups. And that is the formation of the Lynn Cultural District Designation Coalition. We had upwards of 70 to 75 different groups represented while we were meeting, trying to earn one of the Commonwealth's first designations as having a cultural district. We were successful in that. It is the Bank Exchange Cultural District downtown. We were one of only 5 awarded during that first round. And I attribute that to the city and the EDIC and community development reaching out to all of these groups that you mentioned, Mayor DiVigilio, in order to accomplish a common goal. And I am very proud that we were able to be named one of the 5 inaugural cultural districts in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Lynn has a large senior citizen population in a small senior center that is difficult for many to access for many reasons. As mayor, how will you solve this problem? And I believe it's Mr. Judy.
Well, I have increased funding to the senior center this past year. We also made it a little easier for some of the seniors to get to the senior center. As many of you know, last July, the RIDE, the MBTA paratransit system, raised its one-way fare from $2 to $4 one way. And I worked with the executive director of GLIS, Paul Crowley, in order to provide a free trip back to those who took the ride to get to the senior center. That resulted in those seniors maintaining their level of interaction with others. The senior center is very full all the time. We've had special events like the senior prom and the jamboree that we had with the country and western music. We also have other programs in the City of Lynn that are to benefit seniors. For example, this one's on hiatus right now. It's just looking for a new place. It's called Beyond Our Shores, and it's run by the Rabbinessa, formerly of Temple Ahabat Shalom. And what she would do is once a month on a Monday afternoon have a 3-hour session for seniors where they would travel virtually to a different country. She would bring in musicians. She would create kosher food from that culture. She would have little dress-up clothes and activities that corresponded to that culture. We do what we can. Obviously, there's always ways to do more, but we are doing what we can to provide for our seniors.
Thank you. The existing senior center is outdated, and they've outgrown it. In addition, as we've just heard, the census is down. I work with the executive director of Paul Crowley frequently. We talk frequently on this issue, and his census is down because people can't afford to get there back and forth. What I say is that we have to think out of the box. Lynn has outgrown one single location. We need another location. At Briarcliff Lodge, we don't use that location anymore. It's a Dayhab Center for Elder Affairs. But let's look at what Swampscott did when they thought out of the box. They combined their high school with their senior center, and they put it on the ballot, and they passed it. What did they do there? You not only had the people who wanted to vote for it who have kids going through the educational system, but now you have senior citizens who want to participate. What it also did is it increased intergenerational activities between the high school kids and the seniors. It made seniors want to go to the senior center. It helped kids with their community service. You know, it might be too late to do it with Marshall, but the next school down the road, should we be thinking out of the box, something like that, so that we can create a senior center that everybody wants to go to for all time in the future?
All right, Lynn recently passed a homeowner's Bill of Rights. Could you explain your position on this issue?
Yes.
Your position on the homeowner's Bill of Rights that was recently passed. Yes.
So I was first.
Good point. Thank you. My mistake. Won't be the first, won't be the last. Yes, I, along with Councilor Capano, spearheaded the Lynn Homeowners Bill of Rights. There is no cost to the city. I'm a believer if we can do anything to save anybody's individual home, we have the right to do it. What it does is it just mandates and requires a bank to participate in mediation at no cost to the city, so that somebody who is losing their home, be it because they had a spouse that had cancer, somebody that lost their job, has a face-to-face interaction to see if they can work something out, whether it's an abatement time period or an abeyance of paying for a few months until they get back on their feet, because they didn't have the ability to do that. And these big banks in different parts of the country aren't communicating. So what it doesn't force the banks to do anything. It doesn't force them to forgive any written obligation that they have. And the Register of Deeds has agreed that he will not record a foreclosure deed until somebody completes, or the homeowner or the bank completes, a state or city mandated mediation program and with a certificate of compliance. Thank you.
I vetoed the anti-foreclosure ordinance, and I did so not because the sentiment isn't a good idea. Who doesn't want to see everybody stay in their homes? What I worried about is the cost that was going to come out of it for the City of Lynn in the form of lawsuits. And my prediction came true. This is a letter from Goodwin Procter. It is a huge law firm in Boston. They represent the Mass Bankers Association. I will read you. They've asked me to suspend enforcement of that anti-foreclosure ordinance. And they say in part, the ordinance is entirely inconsistent with the Commonwealth's carefully drawn statutory scheme, second guesses and frustrates the legislature's considered intent to balance the rights and responsibilities of lenders and borrowers in the Commonwealth, and is fundamentally inconsistent with Massachusetts law and the Massachusetts Constitution. Accordingly, it should not be enforced. I warned that this was coming. It's here now. What are we going to do? I stated before, we can't have 351 different schemes of enforcing foreclosures in the Commonwealth, or it's going to have a chilling effect on banks lending in Lynn, and we don't need that.
Yes, thank you very much. With all due respect, that's not a lawsuit. That is a letter from one of the largest law firms on the East Coast, a multi-$100-million law firm representing big banks, saying, please don't enforce this, because we believe that it's unconstitutional. This ordinance, a very similar one, not as aggressive as this, in Springfield has already withstood the initial court challenge that they've had. So we don't do something because of fear of failure.
I have a very quick rebuttal to that. They state in this letter that the City of Springfield similarly has determined to suspend enforcement of its ordinance pending resolution of the appeal. So Springfield itself also recognizes that this is something.
We're going to go to break and we'll return in a minute. Candidate's doing a wonderful job. Have a drink of water and we'll be back in 1 minute. Thank you very much. Oh, you were taking too long. She's going.
The City's Voice is brought to you by Salon 234. Salon 234 is dedicated to delivering the highest quality service. We pride ourselves on being a visionary full-service company specializing in the current hairstyle trends and skincare needs for all different types of skin. Our highly skilled staff are committed to meeting your needs with a spirit of caring and individual attention. Passion for excellence and dedication to the advancement of industry standards will continue to guide the evolution of our company. Come find yourself and unwind yourself.
This program has been sponsored by Old Time Italian Cuisine. Located at 612 Boston Street in Lynn, Mass., Old Time offers a variety of authentic Italian dishes ranging from pasta to chicken and more, with delicious desserts and fine wine. Bring your family down to their dining area or enjoy a drink at their full-service bar. Old Time Italian Cuisine. Great, authentic Italian food.
Welcome back to tonight's live debate for the mayoral race here in the City of Lynn. I just wanted to take a moment to again thank our audience, our moderators, former Mayor Al Virgilio and Magnolia Contreras, and of course Council President Tim Phelan and Mayor Judith Kennedy. So we're back now with some questions. I do want to remind everybody in the audience to please put your phones on vibrate, and if it's an emergency call you can go right through the door, but hopefully that won't happen. And to start off, Magnolia will be asking a question. And I believe we will be starting this time with Judy. Is that right? Okay. Thank you.
The city has an ordinance that prohibits level 3 sex offenders from living near schools. The city currently is being sued on this ordinance. What is your position?
Nobody wants to live next to a level 3 sex offender. The problem is a little document called the Constitution. If they have served their time, a community cannot effectively ban them from living in that community. The problem lies with our legislators. If they believe that level 3 sex offenders are so odious that they should not be allowed back into society again, then the legislature should make that a life sentence for committing a level 3 sex offense. Then we don't have to worry about where they're going to settle. But I do believe that if they have served their time, they have to be allowed to live somewhere in the city. Near schools, certainly not. But the way the ordinance is currently drawn, the only place they can go is down to the waterfront district. And the last thing we need to do when we're trying to develop a waterfront is to send all our level 3 sex offenders down there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was the creator of this ordinance, and I respectfully disagree with the parameters as to where a level 3 sex offender can or can't live based on the ordinance. However, I think the more important thing is when somebody is convicted of this type of heinous crime, not only they have that conviction and the damage that they do permanently to a child or whomever that may be, they're also deemed by the state to likely to reoffend again. So what we're doing is we're trying to ensure that we protect people that can't protect themselves, children. We had one who lives up off of Linfield Street that bought a home in the middle of a perfect triangle between the Shoemaker School, the Little Theater, Kindergarten, and Gowdy Park. And we've aggressively, he's suing the city. He's suing me. I've been informed that I'm probably going to be deposed in the next couple of weeks. And I'm fine with that because I think when somebody engages in that type of activity, they lose certain liberties. And if you talk to any parent of any child that was impacted by something like that, I think that they would agree with me.
You would like a rebuttal? Yeah.
Rebuttal. First of all, I'd like to know what Councilor Phelan does think the parameters are, because I've seen the map, and that's how I read the map. And secondly, I want Councilor Phelan to acknowledge that if this level 3 sex offender, where he described, had married his girlfriend who lives in that house with him, there's nothing the city could do because we cannot remove a spouse.
You know, if an alcoholic has a problem, he shouldn't get a job in a liquor store. If somebody has a gambling problem, they shouldn't apply for a job at a racetrack. Remember what we're trying to do. We're trying to protect people here. Are there protections with the federal government that they have exceptions to this law? Absolutely. You know, and there's nothing I can do about that. And I'm a believer in the law. But as I said earlier on another issue, I don't think that we should not do something for fear that it's not going to work. I think our philosophy should be the exact opposite. Thank you.
Next question. GE still owns acres of land throughout West Lynn that is totally underutilized, therefore undertaxed. Do you have any plans to better utilize this property and increase our tax base? The specific land that we're talking about would be where the gear plant is and all around St. Michael's where they tore down houses. What role would you as the mayor play to cause something to happen in the next 4 years?
I think it might be.
We need one of those dirty
pretty
clean that
sure
you
we're
put on the
starting with-
dishwasher. It just says Judy Tim. I think so too. I think
Sure.
Mayor DiVigilio's asking his questions.
Sure. This would be a priority in my administration. The gear plant site is on Saugus River with direct access to the harbor site. If we're trying to develop the waterfront and we have a Walmart on the water side of the waterfront, you know, should we think out of the box and try to potentially approach the people from Walmart and see if they want to move across the street to where the gear plant formerly was. But what happens with GE is before they can sell anything or do anything, they have to come up with an AUL, acceptable use limitation, because almost all of their property is contaminated, and they're limited in what they can or can't do with that. And they're in the process right now, the beginning stage of that process, of coming up with their AUL. But I think we have to have constant communication, not only with the people at the GE, but whether it's the people at the Walmart with our development team to try to move this forward.
Back in the early 2000s, when I was on the City Council, I was named to the City Council's GE Brownfields Committee. And at that time, we had identified 11 properties that we wanted to clean up and put back to use. Among those properties was a property on River Street, which now is the drive-through for the Riverworks Credit Union. There's a property on Ray Street that has been cleaned up and sold to a private owner. There's a property on Ida Street that was cleaned up and taken care of. There's a property on Center Street that was cleaned up and became condominiums. The most recent one, of course, you all know, was the one on Federal Street that we finally forced GE to the table, sat them down, gave them deadlines, met with the management from New York, made them come up with a marketing plan, and they, in fact, sold the land, and now we're going to show a market basket. We have approached it systematically, parcel by parcel. The fear I have with the gear plant is that's probably going to be one of the last ones that we can settle up with because of the Department of Defense restrictions on that piece of property.
Rebuttal?
Yes, thank you. I know that I was on the council. I approved those things and voted for them at the time, and I know Rick Ford was one of the driving forces on that. But when it comes to the Market Basket site, I sat in the kitchen of Charlie Patzios, the owner of who now owns that land, not Market Basket, a year and a half ago, who's told me he's been working on that site for 5 years and trying to get in there, and they were waiting for the AUL. I'm not sure, and maybe I'm just out of the loop with what type of deadlines the city can give on someone owning private property to bring GE to their knees to sell it, but it's something that GE has been working on for 5 years, beginning with the former administration and the owner of the property, who today actually emailed me and said that I could go public with a preliminary. Oh, go ahead.
I refuse not to have credit given to me for getting that GE property developed. If Charlie Patzios had been working on it for 5 years, why in September of 2012 did GE put out a marketing brochure available for sale, 64,628 square foot manufacturing office building? If that was a done deal, this never would have seen the light of day. I made that happen. I brought GE to the table from New York, and I refuse to have somebody diminish that by saying that Charlie Patzios had been working on it for 5 years. Well, Charlie obviously didn't get anywhere in 5 years. I got him to the end game.
A quick rebuttal.
I do. What I did indicate is Charlie Patzios had been working on it for 5 years. I think it's well known when he closed on the deal. And if you ever saw the purchase and sale agreement, which I did, it's about this thick. And the reason that it's that thick is because of the contamination and the limited use that you're able to actually use the property, why they have to use the existing building, why they can't dig underneath a certain depth. So it's much more complicated than I forced them to come to the table and sell this property.
Thank you. Next question.
According to the 2010 census, there are about 25,000 residents under the age of 19. As mayor, what role would you play in ensuring that there is a long-range plan implemented for modernizing our school buildings, and how will you pay for it?
Well, first of all, this starts with the Marshall Middle School, obviously. I started working on that the first month I got into office. We now have the Marshall Middle School scheduled for a vote. September 17th, I would urge anybody listening to vote in favor of that, not only for the purpose of replacing a building that's crumbling. I'm sure you've seen the photographs. If not, educate yourself and look them up. But also because that is a prerequisite before the Mass School Building Association Authority will allow us to look at plans for a new Pickering, a new Tracy, and a new Cobbett. As chair of the school committee, I tasked Richard Starbird with creating a committee, a subcommittee, not only of school committee members, but of community, various organizations within the community to prioritize where we want our schools to be built and which ones have to be replaced, and to come up with a 25-year roadmap for us replacing the schools. So we are on our way with that, with Marshall, Pickering to follow, then Cobbett and Tracy.
Thank you. I voted 9 separate times to support the building of the Marshall Middle School. From the time where we had to start the feasibility study, pay for the feasibility study. The site plan review committee the participants were John Ford and Darren Sear, who did a lot of the legwork in locating the sites. But your question is, everyone agrees we need a new Marshall Middle School. Where do we get the money in the future for additional schools? What's the plan right now for the existing Marshall Middle School? Even when we get the next one in the pipeline, that's going to be years, 10 years down the road. We're going to have this building that is sitting there vacant with no vision and no plan and no idea, other than the only thing people say to me, well, when we build the new Pickering, that's where we'll house them. But the question is, what do we do with it in the meantime? How do we pay for it in the meantime? And where is the vision to address that issue?
Yep. The CFO has put together an FAQ, frequently asked question sheet, regarding Marshall Middle School. We've answered this question over and over. How much will the average taxpayer need to pay to cover the borrowing costs for the new school? In bold, taxpayer bills will not be affected by approval of the proposed project. As we retire debt, we take on debt. that same kind of rolling debt service is going to be what will pay for the other schools as well. We get 80% reimbursement from the MSBA. I want to continue it.
I'm in favor of my record shows I'm in favor of the school, but you have to understand what that statement is. The debt that's going to be retiring is years down the road. If a husband and wife both have a job and they're both making X amount of dollars, and they decide tomorrow to go out and buy a car that has a $300 car payment, their income is not going to change. They're going to have to make that payment with the existing income that they have. That's what Peter Karen is saying. If we take on additional debt, we have to pay it with the tax revenues that are coming into the city right now.
Okay. To use that analogy, that couple just paid off their $300 a month car payment on their older car. Now they're rolling it into their newer car.
Fine, do you want to rebut anything?
And that's down the road.
That's down the road, okay. Next question. Lynn is dependent on a substantial amount of state aid grants, both federal and state. How often would you meet formally or informally with other elected officials at different levels of government to ensure they're informed on the needs of Lynn, and how would you perhaps push them for even more help than we might have gotten in the past?
I meet with the state delegation. Oh, is that mine?
Tim.
Tim Phelan first?
Okay.
Our future is going to be determined by teamwork, not only with city officials working together, but with our representatives and senators. They should be involved in the planning process for all development so that we can ensure getting maximum financial dollars available. A meeting with the entire state delegation should not be non-existent. It should be regular, it should be weekly, it should be monthly, and it should be consistent. And that's something that is that I will implement when I am, if I'm fortunate enough to become the mayor, immediately, because that communication is not where it should be right now.
Yeah.
I would disagree with that characterization, obviously. In fact, I'm meeting with the delegation tomorrow in Boston to discuss a proposal for a building on the Lynnway that would be used to help to implement the composting regulations that go in July 1st, 2014. I have worked closely with Senator McGee's office on the ferry. He knows I've been a big supporter of it. He's the head of the Transportation Committee. He's been good to Lynn, and that ferry should be sailing probably toward the end of next summer or the beginning of the summer of 2015, but we are now in the final phase of implementing it. I don't see any problem with the communication I have with our state delegation.
Next question. Essex County allows 4 marijuana dispensaries in the county. The chief of police is on record in opposing these shops in the city of Lynn. What is your position on this matter?
Okay. First of all, there were 181 applications for dispensaries, and none of them were for a location in the city of Lynn. So we're not going to get one, at least this first time around. However, on the general feeling that I have about it, when this matter was put to the state voters, they voted almost 2-1. I think it was 63 to 36 in favor of having these dispensaries. It's not up to me as a city official to circumvent the will of the voters. The Lynn numbers were very similar, by the way. It was the city council who decided, again, much like the sex offender restrictions, to restrict them in such a way that the only way these dispensaries would go in Lynn is if we put them on the waterfront. So I vetoed it. It was overridden. I think a lot of times people get this scare in them about drugs and what drugs are going to do. To me, it's no different from having a CVS pharmacy on the corner. They're regulated, they're controlled. I have no problem.
Just for clarification, what the voters voted for was to legalize medicinal marijuana. What the city council did had nothing to do with the legalization of medicinal marijuana. What the voters did is they allowed 4 marijuana dispensaries in Essex County. So 4 all over Essex County. The police chief said on his research out in California where they're legal, wherever they are located, they are magnets for crime. So what we did is we took the initiative and we said, similar to the level 3 sex offender, and I'm proud of it, that you can't locate these in particular areas. Again, schools, playgrounds near parks. Would you want one at Shopquick? Would you want one, in the downtown business where you're trying to expand that downtown business? We did that before the application process started. So when these 181 applicants put their applications in for a dispensary, they knew which cities and towns had already prohibited it, and my guess is that they didn't want the legal challenge, so nobody's applied to come to Lynn, and I'm glad we passed it, and I think it's good for our city.
So instead, what we're going to have is people that can do a hardship exemption. We still haven't found out all the details from the state on the hardship exemption, but people, the last I heard, will be able to grow a 60-day supply in their own home. Anybody who knows anything about growing marijuana, not that I have personal knowledge, but I did do some research, it requires very hot heating lamps, very expensive, lots of water. Do we really want some of our wood frame buildings having very hot heating lamps in them so that people can grow their own marijuana because they can't get to it right here in the city within a reasonable distance? I would say no. I'd rather have the dispensary.
Name 3 specific reforms that you would implement in the area of public safety if elected. How do you intend to fund and implement them if they involve money?
Now, wait a minute. This is the question that I was asked to give to my opponent.
We weren't sure. We thought it was for both people.
So
All right, then we'll ask, your opponent will answer that question, and we have a question that he has
Yeah,
for you.
okay.
Okay, so this question is, you'll understand the audience. Each candidate was asked to give us a question that they would like to have us ask their opponent. This particular question, the mayor gave us to ask Mr. Phelan, and Mr. Phelan has given us a question to ask. So we're just, the mayor doesn't have to answer it because she asked us to ask Mr. Phelan, and then we have one that Mr. Phelan asks. So.
Now, I'll be happy to answer this question if you repeat it in a moment, but how it was explained to me was that I was supposed to provide a question that was going to be asked of me and my opponent. We would both ask, but, so what's the question?
Okay, question, and you can rebut, needless to say, if you want. So maybe both people will answer anyhow. 3 specific reforms that you would implement in the area of public safety if elected. How do you intend to fund and implement them?
Sure. 3 specific reforms. I would like to see greater, education in the school system when it comes to crime at an earlier age. I think that's very, very important. I think that education is the foundation for everything. And if we can teach kids at a young age as to what are the important factors and the consequences of education, I think that really helps with all aspects of the City of Lynn. How would we fund it? The City of Lynn, right now, owns a piece of property on Route 1 in Lynnfield. We own a piece of property that is worth multi-million dollars. And it's next to the fat cactus. It's next to the naked fish, and it has a billboard on it. If it's not part of Lynn Woods, which my understanding it is not, there is a gold mine of money for a particular purpose that we can bring into the city and that we can use for a wide range of things, whether it's a revolving account for new schools, whether it's for implementing public safety, but it's an opportunity that not many municipalities have, and it's been sitting there forever, and it's time that we step forward and do something with it.
Oh.
Well, that was one.
Huh?
That was one. I asked for 3 public safety reforms.
Do you want to continue with Councilor?
Sure. I mean, I'd like to expand both the CLT program.
We'll give you, since the mayor's asking, we'll
Absolutely.
give you an extra minute. Is that all right?
The CLT program, the SRO program, I think everybody in the city, every single elected official that ran and candidate that ran for the last election, the election before that, have all advocated for both of those programs and are all very satisfied that they're implementing the good things for the city. I think we should expand that even further. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, first of all, I'm the one that recreated the SROs and the CLTs. When I took office, we had 0 CLTs and we had 0 SROs. Furthermore, I want to talk a little bit about this property on Lynnfield Street. Since I've been mayor, we have been in one of the greatest real estate down markets in our history. I'm well aware of the property on Route 1 in Lynnfield. I've walked the property with Jamie over at Route 1 in Lynnfield. We know exactly where it is. We have a developer who wants to build a strip mall right now behind the Fat Cactus, a big box store with a couple of smaller stores. They have approached me about possibly leasing a right-of-way in order to gain access to the back piece of property that they own. I'm frankly holding out for some more money. I think we can put it to use. I don't think charging higher rates for a billboard is the right way to put it to use, and I don't think selling it in a down real estate market is a really smart idea. But I think holding up their right-of-way is a pretty good way for the city to make some income off of it.
Any rebuttal before the next question?
No, thank you.
Okay. The
Gina, do you
I think
all right. We'll ask just to continue what we did, so
Yeah.
we get confused too. All right.
we'll come
Kind of normal.
I lost my
I'm
instruction
outnumbered
book.
by the ladies up here at the table.
We'll come
But
back to the one that was given to me by Mr. Phelan, if that's okay, and then we'll, do you want
next,
to
yeah, you answer yours, and then we'll come back to the mayor's, the council president's question of the mayor.
Okay.
Okay. So this will be
changing the
Mayor
format, keeping it?
Magnolia.
The downtown area is experiencing growth, but parking is not keeping up with its growth. What do you propose for the parking situation in downtown Lynn?
And who starts?
I believe you start, Judy, because I think the way that I have kept the roster is you start.
And I trust your accounting.
Thank you.
I already have done things to alleviate the parking problems in downtown Lynn. One of the first things I did was I replaced the off-street parking commission. We had had an off-street parking commission that used to meet at 7:30 in the morning behind a locked city hall door, behind a locked parking department door in the executive director's office, the head of the parking department. That to me is no way to run the off-street parking commission. So 4 out of the 5 members have been replaced. Their terms had expired, and the resulting change and the phenomenal increase in action that we've gotten has been phenomenal. Now the meetings are held on Tuesday nights, usually in City Hall. I have asked them to go ahead and automate one of our lots as a pilot program. They are automating Andrew Street. We've already gotten the pricing. It's only about $1,000. Now we need a 1 foot by 1 foot place to put the kiosk to allow for the automation. I've also proposed that, and they have deeded to the City of Lynn, the Wyoming Square parking lot, which we will be automating and improving as well. And that takes care of some of the problems that we have with elimination of spaces because of the Wyoming Square reconfiguration project.
Thank you. I'm not sure how that actually helps with the parking crisis downtown, replacing people on the off-street parking commission, but that's fine. What I think we should do, when the off-street parking commission was created, there was enabling legislation that actually let the off-street parking commission bond money themselves. However, the original legislation, that expires. There was a sunset time period after, I believe it was 5 years. What I think we should do is I think that we should write a home rule petition. We should put it through the council, put it through the State House, allowing the off-street parking commission themselves to actually borrow money. We have a lot downtown. If we want the continued expansion of our parking in downtown, we want to continually expand auditorium and make it accessible, we have to build something. And I say that we build either a 1 or 2 story parking garage right in downtown, similar to what Salem has. Let the off-street parking commission bond the money. The revenues of that will pay for itself over a period of time. It is creative thinking, it is innovative thinking, and it's a way to move the downtown forward.
One, we have a 4-story parking garage that nobody wants to use already. Granted, the revenues go to MBTA, but people don't seem to want to do that. The reason why I pointed out the overhaul of the off-street parking commission is because there had been a reluctance to have the number of monthly permits increased. We now have people that are willing to increase the number of monthly permits, which helps with the on-street parking. Secondly, we never had a real reduction in the monthly rates. The Off-Street Parking Commission, as newly constituted, is working very hard to reduce those monthly rates, which again is going to make the off-street parking more affordable, making on-street parking more available.
All right.
These ones, and we have
The
those ones.
well, next question is the Council President, Mr. Phelan's question of the mayor, similar to the question that the mayor had asked Councilor Phelan. So this question would go to the mayor. Use one word that describes yourself and also distinguishes you from your opponent.
Describes and distinguishes. We're very similar.
Use one word that describes yourself.
Okay, I'm
you're,
taking-
You're a female.
Republican, but that's not what I would
Republican.
choose. I'm going to take something that's near and dear to me. My license plate. Driven. I am driven. I am driven to see this become a better city. In 2009, when I ran for this office, nobody gave me a fighting chance. You know why? Because I had been a city councilor. I took my votes. I defended myself. I did what was right for the city, but I never gave up on what I believed in. And when I found myself increasingly frustrated by the way the city was running and how the same old people were making the same old decisions, I decided I can do this. I can take this on and I can make a change. And I did it. And the reason why I did it is because I'm driven. And I think that has carried me through these 4 years. And I think it will continue to carry me through these next 4 years. If I want something, I go and get it.
Would you like to answer your question as well?
Well, that was more than one word.
Driven.
You know, I think one of the biggest differences is I'm a Democrat. And I think that, you know, there are a number of different issues that point that out and our differences that we do have. The Homeowners Bill of Rights. You know, I think that there are some very distinct differences that are, and I think that's the biggest thing is really the difference. I don't have a mayoral record to compare against the current mayor. I don't. I haven't been the mayor, but I have a city council record. And my record as a city councilor is one of being a difference maker. And you may agree or disagree with what I've done, but no one can ever say that I have sat on my duper and not done anything. And I'd like to take the same enthusiasm and passion that I've showed as a city councilor and continue it as the mayor. Thank you.
And do you believe needs most improvement, and how would you work to ensure that they achieve that? And the question goes to Mr. Phelan.
Sure. You know, when you say that, one of the first things that go through my mind are all the departments at City Hall. And I think the real answer should be the school department. The school department should always need improvement. You know, not because they're doing anything right or wrong, but education is always changing. There's a different demographics. The city evolves and changes. There are cultural differences. There are more children that speak a wide range of languages. And I think that there's education. People learn more in education. There's a moral obligation for all teachers, administrators, elected officials, paraprofessionals to change with society. And I hate to see that our test scores are just paralleling along, and you know, and I always think we can improve because we're below the state level everywhere, and that's very frustrating. And I know that there are exceptions to that, a school here, a school there, a category here, but it's something that we should always strive to improve, and we're always going to need to improve, and that will never stop.
Yeah.
I think that the department that is most in need of help right now is the IT department. The City of Lynn has a $270 million budget, not even counting grants and everything else that goes into it. Do you know how many people we have in our IT on the city side? Two. And I cannot hire the personnel just yet. I wanted to get public safety shored up, and I have done that. What I have been able to do for the IT department, when I got in there, we had rogue computers. Somebody was operating a Pentium 486. In 2010. That's crazy. We were blacklisted. We couldn't get emails in and out sometimes. Our servers were crashing because we had so many viruses that were coming in and out. So I converted every computer in City Hall to one new computer when I came in. I've also been working on compiling the fiber optic network for the city so that we don't have to pay for the landlines. We don't have to pay for the internet connections anymore. We will have our own self-sustaining fiber optic network. And I have also started storing all of our emails off-site. The way it works is that whenever an email goes to or from City Hall, it gets BCC'd to a server out in the central part of Massachusetts. And now we don't lose those emails that we are required to be kept by law. Thank you.
All right, next question. As mayor, what would you do to lower the property tax rate, if anything?
Property tax rate. The average single homeowner's bill was down $13 this year. And part of that is through very careful budgeting and spending. When I took over, we had $350,000 left in our free cash. As of the beginning of last year, I had that up to $16 million. I cut things out of the budget that I considered unnecessary, things like out-of-state travel. I cut everybody's office supply. I mean, it sounds like little things. I didn't take the conventional wisdom and go for the 4 big pots of money with police, fire, schools, and Department of Public Works. I went line by line through that budget, and I have continued to do that for the last 4 years. As a result, the bond rating is now up to an A. From 1987 to 2009, we were a BAA1. We're now an A, and we have been for the last 4 years. Our reserve fund is a healthy $6.5 million. Nobody has been laid off on the city side in the 4 years that I have been mayor, and it all comes down to sound financial decision making.
Thank you. The acting chief financial officer provided me with some information. Fiscal year 2009, the residential tax rate per thousand was $12.74. That has arisen following year $15.53, $16.22, where fiscal year 2013 it's $16.93. At the same time, the assessed value of properties from fiscal year 2010, 11, 12 has actually risen $223, $223.8 to $225. So what you really want to see is, typically what happens if the assessed values of your property goes down, the tax rate per thousand actually goes up. So in the last 4 years, the average commercial taxes on a commercial piece of property has gone up $740. The average 3-family has gone up $533. The average 2-family has gone up $697, and the average 1-family has gone up $185. Really, it's not that alarming, but those are the actual figures. The reserve account on June.
Finish your statement.
On June 30th, 2009 was $4.6 million. On June 30th, 2010 was $7.7 million. What happened is the last administration, the last week of the fiscal year, the calendar year.
Okay, we got to try to stay with them.
Against the advice of the CFO at the time and the chief assessor at the time, the former administration all but drained all of my existing reserve funds going into winter in order to balance the budget and in order to make the taxes appear to be lower. I was left with $350,000 on January 4th, 2010. That's intended to fight unexpected things like snow plowing and fund, not fight, things like snow plowing and end of year deficits.
Okay. Either you have anything else you want to add now before we go to the next question?
Just one other thing. From January 1 of 2010 to June 30th of 2010, the free cash rose to $7.7 million. The vast majority of that, slightly over $5 million, was because of increased local aid from the state that happened on June 30th. So we started, really, the first fiscal year of the current administration started with $7.7 million on June 30th, 2010.
Do you have anything else you want to add? No?
No.
Okay. Next question.
Before we go to the next question, I just wanted to take a moment to let you have a sip of water if you want, and to let everyone at home know that at 8:15 we'll start taking calls from people at home. I wanted to remind you that the phone number here at LynnCAM TV is 781-596-9641. Also, we have an in-studio audience, so if any of you are really looking forward to asking a question, we will try to have time for that as well. And I just wanted to make sure that you knew that you could call in tonight. Thank you. Thank
you. Starting with Mr. Phelan. With 40 languages being spoken in the City of Lynn, which creates a communication problem, how will you get information out to Lynn residents with low to no English skills, and how will you work to incorporate them into the fabric of the city, their day-to-day experience in the city?
Sure. One of the things that the city has done, the school department has done, is over time, a very common thing to do, I actually have it on my website, is what's called Google Translator. So someone can go to the city website, the Lynn Public School System website, and actually click in their language. But what we have to do is, are we still on?
Yes, you're still. I'm so sorry. Hang up the phone, please, because we.
Yes, hello.
Not yet. I'm sorry. 8:15 for Collins, and whoever's on my phones, please hang up, and the person can call back. I'm so sorry. Tim, do you want to start again?
Sure. What you additionally have to do is reach out to all the different cultural organizations in the city, especially the ones with the languages, the most prominent languages in the city. But what I would like to see is an expansion of the existing technology in City Hall, so someone can walk into the foyer of City Hall. And we do have an informational person there that's been there for years, and we have hired someone in the clerk's office that can go to the different departments and speak Spanish, but actually has a large screen computer that they can go in and navigate City Hall with the touch of a hand in their language, similar to the Google Translator, so that City Hall is more accessible. I think that everybody in the city understands the diversity is one of the strengths of the City of Lynn, and we have to reach out to that and make sure that all cultures feel comfortable and part of the city, because they are the city.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry for that interruption.
That's
Thank
okay.
you.
I have been working on that, actually. Since 2010, with a 6-month interruption, I've always had a bilingual Spanish-English clerk or aide in the mayor's office. And that comes in to be extraordinarily helpful when we have somebody with a question or a concern. We don't have that language barrier. We also have a bilingual Spanish to English switchboard operator now at City Hall, which has been extremely helpful in getting people the information they want. Over at ISD, the Inspectional Services Department, our permitting is printed up in Spanish, English, and I believe in Khmer as well. I also have a volunteer who comes into my office 8 hours a week and is fluent in Khmer and English and acts as my Southeast Asian liaison. And most recently, I met with a number of people from the country of Cameroon, and they were asking whether we couldn't have a French-speaking translator in the city. And we discussed it, and I said, you know, we have 40, 50 languages spoken. It's hard to accommodate everybody. But we started thinking about the senior tax abatement program and how we might be able to utilize a senior with fluency in French to volunteer as a French to English translator for those who need it in the city. And I think that could continue to other languages as well.
Thank you. To whoever called at home that's watching, I'm sorry that if you got disconnected, there were little technical difficulties and we could hear you over Council President Phelan, so I apologize for the technical difficulties. We have one more question before we take audience questions.
All right, the Lynn Item editorial last night came out very strongly saying that we should have a salary decision by the courts coming by November as to what the mayor's pay will be. Not should be, but will be. It could wind up being $82,000 for the next 4 years, or it could rule that it could be with credit for a college degree. Question that I'm putting towards you is, for you, is should the mayor's pay be based on a college degree, or should it be a specific salary? And should the city council be a specific salary that is voted on individually, as it used to be when I was the mayor or a city councilor?
Scott? I believe in the literal words of the ordinances of the City of Lynn. In 1998, the City Council passed an ordinance saying that the salary of the mayor shall be $82,500. It has not been amended since then. There have been some other documents, such as a letter from the law department saying the mayor is the head of the mayor's department, and then another ordinance that tied in department head salary to raises given to one of our union locals, 3147, and on that basis, the mayor's salary started going out of control. The prior mayor had, in 2009, $147,562 salary. I thought that wasn't right. But I would like to know how Councilor Phelan and the City Council have calculated their salaries, because there's another ordinance that states clearly the City Council's salary is 15% of the mayor's salary. My salary is $82,500. The City Council's salary is $15,301 and change. That's 18.55% of my salary. Why the discrepancy? And I'd love to have Councilor Phelan explain it.
President? Sure. To answer your question, I'm a firm believer. I don't want to get involved in the acrimonious campaign that occurred last year or the last election with the former mayor and the existing mayor, where there were a lot of personal issues going back and forth. I believe that this issue has to be resolved legally. Everybody has a different legal opinion. I don't believe that I'm entitled to anything beyond what the law says if I'm fortunate enough to become the mayor. The salary that I get, there are all these nuances. The mayor gets a city car. That's not in an ordinance. The mayor gets a gas allowance. The mayor gets gas. The mayor gets an expense check. There's a wide different things that just really aren't resolved. I think we have to get a legal opinion and find out what it is. The salary that I take, I think it's the $14,000 or the $15,000 as a city councilor, is the salary that the CFO, the law department, and the treasurer all approve as a legal salary, and it's been the same exact salary, give or take, for the 18 years I've been on the council.
I will explain. I figured it out. What it comes out to is if I took the $82,500 and I took $21,000 for my law degree as the 25% educational incentive increase. So the council is actually taking money based on my non-existent educational incentive increase. And I would challenge Councilor Phelan right now to go back and pledge that he will reduce the city councilor's salary to 15% of $82,500 until such time as the court rules.
Sure, and with all due respect, you have the budget, and every single year when you present the budget to the city council, you present the salaries of the city council, and it's your budget. And it may sound like great political rhetoric now, but all 4 years since you've been the mayor, the salary that you have been presented as city councilors, the $14,000 or $15,000 each, is what was approved by the council.
You want to go to the next question? Or do you want to say anything else? We have to go to a break, and we want to compliment each of you for disagreeing but not being disagreeable.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
So we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we will be having questions from callers at home. And you're watching LynnCAM TV. Thanks. We'll be right back.
This program has been sponsored by Old Time Italian Cuisine. Located at 612 Boston Street in Lynn, Mass., Old Time offers a variety of authentic Italian dishes ranging from pasta to chicken and more, with delicious desserts and fine wine. Bring your family down to their dining area or enjoy a drink at their full-service bar. Old Time Italian Cuisine. Great authentic Italian food.
The City's Voice is brought to you by Salon 234. Salon 234 is dedicated to delivering the highest quality service. We pride ourselves on being a visionary full-service company specializing in the current hairstyle trends and skincare needs for all different types of skin. Our highly skilled staff are committed to meeting your needs with a spirit of caring and individual attention. Our passion for excellence and dedication to the advancement of industry standards will continue to guide the evolution of our company. Come find yourself and unwind yourself.
TV's mayor's debate here tonight, And I wanted to thank you again, Council President Phelan and Mayor Kennedy, as well as Magnolia Contreras and Aldi Virgilio for doing wonderful moderating and being somewhat comical with me. So we have questions from home viewers as well as audience. And first, I have Chris right now on the phone. So Chris, if you would like to go ahead and ask your question, please.
Sure. I'd like to ask both candidates, what is your attendance record as a member of the City Council and school committee, and do you think attendance is important? Thank you.
Yes, I think it's.
Sure. In the 22 years I've been an elected official, I have never missed a regular school committee or city council meeting. I think attendance is vital. I think you're one of the leaders of the city, and you have to show up. Thank you.
I know who planted that question. However, I have missed a handful of school committee meetings. I missed one because I was at a think tank meeting that Ralph Sevenor had set up. I missed another one that I can recall because all of the former mayors of City of Lynn were invited to the Lynn Museum for a mayor's roundtable, and I had asked and could not change the date of the school committee meeting, so I missed that. I was in the hospital for one of the school committee meetings that I missed. I don't have a perfect record on the school committee, but I've been there for every important vote, and when I've been able to, I have changed the date of the school committee. I can say with certainty that I've probably been to 90 to 95% of the school committee meetings. No?
Thank you.
Oh, well, I'll add it up. I'll check.
All right,
Okay.
caller on the line, Jamie, or James? Jamin?
Let's go to Tom.
No.
Is the,
Next is,
I think they're putting him through right now.
Yeah.
Thanks for being patient. Live TV. What are you going to do? All right, you guys will talk to him for a minute. And
is there
I guess,
anyone in
is
the
there
audience while we're waiting
who
and
has a
wants to ask a
question?
question? Yes.
Come on up, Ellen. Ellen's going to be a celebrity now because she comes to all of our stuff.
This question is for Mayor Kennedy, and I want to know if you think it is fine for 5-year-olds to be riding on school buses all over the city with no seatbelts.
Hello?
You can't go in a car without a seatbelt at that age. Why should you be on a school bus with no seatbelt?
My children both went to public school. My children both rode the bus to public school at the age of 5 years old. I had no problem with them not having a seatbelt on. It's the state. It's not the city. The city can make additional regulations, but we contract our busing through North Reading Transportation. The transportation costs would go up if they installed seatbelts in all of the buses that were dedicated to the City of Lynn. I really have no problem with it.
Yes. There's no state law, Ellen, that mandates school buses have required seat belts, but I agree with you. I do think that it would be wise to have seat belts for kids just to keep them in their seats, especially if they're that age. When I actually ran for another office back in 1994, it was one of the issues that I ran on. Unfortunately, I was unsuccessful at the time, but I think it can't hurt. Thank you.
I'm sorry, yes, go ahead.
Does anybody know how many children have been injured for lack of a seatbelt in the City of Lynn in the last 30 years? I'll look it up, and I'll have an answer at the next debate.
Go to our next caller on the line.
Tom, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for calling in. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, I got a question about people at work out of City Hall. What is the law on them driving our city vehicles after City Hall is closed, especially on Friday at noontime? And this gentleman, he's at Light Point Church 4 times a week at an hour each time because it's a medical issue, according to the mayor. He's there either for drug or alcohol, and especially on a Friday. He's there from 11 to 12, and on Friday afternoon in the city car
Tom,
from 4 to 5.
Tom,
Tom?
Yes.
All right. Why
The
don't we-
first part of your question is what I really understood, and we'll take that piece of the question, which is about when they can drive the city vehicles. Thank you for calling.
First of all, I've never publicly commented on the individual that he is describing. Never. But secondly, there are people that have to take those vehicles home. For example, some of our building inspectors, if we were to have a fire over the weekend, they come from their homes, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes on weekends, as I said, and they go in and they deal with what has to be done to board up the building and so forth. We have a number of undercover police that take their cars home. I take my car home. My car has a police radio and a fire radio in it, and I am in that car at night on weekends when I'm going to fires or any sort of major crime scene. I think there are some people that it is necessary for them to have those cars with them at all times. And I think the number is about right. Do you have?
I agree. I think that there are a certain amount of people that need their vehicles. Inspectional services, DPW commissioner, if something happens, you have to get them in quickly. But I didn't really follow, Tom, exactly what you were saying about, I don't know what individual you're referring to, but if your concern is that somebody is taking a city vehicle and going someplace that they're not supposed to go with it, they're going on vacation or driving to Salisbury Beach or or doing something outside of the city that they shouldn't be doing, then that is an issue and that should be brought to our attention. And I think that most people in city government would address that. Thank you.
Next caller. Next caller.
Next caller is.
Kristen, you're on the line. Please answer your question.
Yes, my name is Kristen, and I live in West Lynn. And my question is, we've had an ongoing rat problem in this city, but more so, it seems like in my neighborhood. I've called City Hall numerous times to ask for help, and most of the time we don't get a call back. Some of the neighbors have got together and called. We don't get calls back. We really don't know what to do. We have putting out our rubbish. We have rats. We've tried to cover our barrels. We've done everything we possibly can. We're a very clean neighborhood. We keep our property up beautifully in this neighborhood, and it's very discouraging. So my question is not so much for Judy, but for Tim. What would you do a little bit differently that you could help us with this problem? Thank you.
It's one of the frustrating problems that many city councilors have because when there's no response from City Hall, they call us at our homes, which is what we're elected to do. Typically, what we do is we'll call Water and Sewer Commission, we'll call certain people at DPW and ask them to bait the sewers, go down, see if they can cite the homes for for not covering their trash. It's my understanding we're looking to try to implement a rat expert in the city. I'm not sure what that will or won't do, but it is a systemic problem across the city. It's not just in your neighborhood. I think once we get a comprehensive and new trash collection process in place, that should help. I think people need to be diligent about their neighbors who aren't keeping their trash collected, but it's a frustrating part on our end as well.
Want to say something?
Yes, Kristen, first of all, if you could please leave your phone number with the call taker privately. I'll make sure that you get a call back tomorrow about this, because we do take calls very seriously about the rodent issues. We have 2 inspectors. We have Jim Wilson, who's our full-time inspector, and we've also added in this year's budget a part-time inspector. They go out, they'll investigate, they'll bait the property that's affected, but what they'll do more importantly is they'll go and look at the source, because wherever there's a gathering of rats, there's a food source nearby, invariably. And it's not the DPW, it's the ISD that will enforce the litter fines. They come under 40U, and the ISD is the department that tickets for the uncovered trash and so forth. Jim Wilson is part of ISD. So it is one comprehensive approach. Obviously, it's a serious problem. As I have stated before, we have an automated trash program that is set to launch in the spring of 2014, which will give everybody uniform types of disposal containers, and hopefully that will alleviate some of the problem.
Question from the audience.
My name is Susan Walsh, and I have a question for Mayor Kennedy. You recently gave residency to the city workers. If you do not believe in residency, then why did you make them live here in the city for 10 years before they could leave?
Not believe in residency. What I did is I found a realistic compromise for those who believe that if you're going to take money out of the city's coffers, then you need to stay here, versus my belief that no government should be telling people where they should live. So I went to a compromise, middle-of-the-road proposal, which was perfectly accepted and overwhelmingly approved, I might add, by the police department as well as your husband's colleagues on the fire department. They were overwhelmingly approved. We don't count the time that they serve in any other city department. It's the time from when they become sworn to the police or fire department. They give 10 years within the city, get to know the city, get to know the residents. After that 10-year period, they're free to move. I think it's a very fair compromise.
No, I can just say I'm a believer in the law, and the courts allowed the mayor to collectively bargain the issue. I respect the mayor's office. The mayor had the ability to collectively bargain that issue. The mayor collectively bargained 10 years, and that's the law of the land.
Next call on the phone, Marion. You have a question, Marion?
Yes, I do. Good evening, everyone. My question goes to Mr. Phelan. How would your administration differ from Kennedy's administration?
How would it differ from the mayor's?
How would it differ?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm a communicator. I am somebody that is willing to meet and talk and take other opinions from everybody, every elected official, whether I agree with them, disagree with them. I'm not afraid to change my mind. If somebody has a better idea, I'm not afraid to use that idea if it's something that improves the city. I am someone who puts in long hours on every single day, the weekend. I think that, as I mentioned earlier, my track record proves it as a city councilor. I had mentioned previously that one of the reasons that something that encouraged me to run is when somebody told me, when I had a conversation after I talked to them, that they thought that a city council was a full-time job because of all the stuff that I've done over the years. And I just want the opportunity, and I'm asking the people of the city the opportunity to be able to do this full-time, because I really truly believe that I can be a difference maker for the city.
The difference. I heard I communicate with people, which infers that I don't communicate with people. Nothing could be further from the truth. My door has always been open, and I have never turned anybody away who wants to come in and speak with me. I have the open door policy. I intend to keep the open door policy. And then the long hours. Are you kidding me? Have you ever followed me around? Have you ever seen how many hours I put in? I don't go in at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll be the first one to admit it. But you tell me how many times I take a lunch. You tell me how many times I'm there at 3 or 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. You tell me how many times I'm at City Hall Saturday, Sunday, how many times I'm visiting schools, how many times I'm out at community events at night and on weekends. I put in more than long hours at this job, and I think the results show in the way the City of Lynn is improving.
Next question, Paul? You there?
Good evening, Mayor DiVigilio. How are you, everybody?
Just him? Just good evening?
I just want to say that we got two of the finest people running for the mayor's office, and I know both of them, and I just hate to see them, get all too serious about this, because they're both great politicians, and they've done good for the city for a long time. My question to them are, I've been calling in for weeks, as Mayor DiVigilio can tell you about this, the casino boat down on the Lynnway. We have problems down there, and nothing's being done to help this poor guy down here. The Walsh family does a lot for the City of Lynn, youth groups and everything with, donations and everything, and we can't even get the casino boat straightened out where National Grid will give them a place to park cars so they could have some buses come in and have tour buses come in so they can have people on their boat. They borrowed $200,000 from the EDIC, and you want them to pay their money back to these people. Well, how can we do that if we have them not being able to get anybody on the boat? Thank you.
Who's first?
This one it is you. Yes. Actually, it's Judy.
Okay. I'm amazed you guys can still keep track of that.
Trying.
Thank you, Paul. I have been in regular contact with the Walsh family since they brought the boat up, and actually prior to them bringing the boat up from Florida. We have been working to get either part of the National Grid land for them to use or part of the elevator land for them to use. One of the unfortunate things that happened while they were trying to get this extra parking to be made available to them is that there was a meeting of the Traffic Commission, and I didn't even get any notice of the Traffic Commission, and I don't even know how this item came up on their agenda. But all of a sudden, one night, the Traffic Commission met, and the next thing we knew, there were all kinds of signs and parking restrictions down along that road that leads to the casino boat. So I am trying to figure out exactly how that happened, but if we can get those signs removed and try to figure out what on earth the Traffic Commission met about and how it was able to get to their agenda without any apparent notice, we'll be able to free up some parking spaces right there for the boat.
Thank you. Did you want to say something?
Right. Thank you, Paul. Paul, I've spoken to pretty much everybody in the Walsh family probably multiple times. I've also been on the phone with a wide range of people from National Grid trying to negotiate with Jim Cowdell from the EDIC, parking spots that are over there. And what's happening is this land that's not used, they have a sour taste in their mouth because of how Horizon's Edge left last time, and they're reluctant to do anything. They're trying to work out deals with the elevator company, the lobster company. Everybody in the city wants to see this succeed. I think Senator McGee has been working diligently on this issue. They really do need a permanent parking facility. They have certain spaces with the EDIC, but for it to, which are currently acceptable, but just not enough. And the city has to get behind this if we want it to be successful, or we're going to have another casino boat that comes to the city and ultimately leaves.
We have a couple callers on the line, but actually going to see if anyone in the audience here right now has a question ready. Anyone? You have one? Come on up. Don't be shy.
Hi, I'm Indra. My question, I guess I kind of want both of them to answer the question. I've lived in Lynn since I was 9 years old, and I came to find out that excise tax goes to the streets and the roads, right? To my understanding. So my question is, the streets and the lights are so bad in Lynn, and it's been so bad in Lynn for years. If I was to vote for either one of you, what's your plan on fixing that? A lot of intersections in Lynn are really bad. They're real risky. I had someone drove their car into my car in an intersection over there by the North Shore Community College area, and so if I was to vote for either one of you, what is your dream or your goal into fixing that? The streets and the lights are very... Yeah.
Okay. Indra? Yes. You say you've been here since you've been 9 years old. You look like you're about 15, so that's a compliment. But it's a good question. It's actually, during this campaign, I've knocked doors pretty much in every single part of the city. And while people do have a wide range of complaints, the number one complaint that I hear from everybody are the streets and the sidewalks. The streets and the sidewalks is just people are frustrated because they pay high taxes in the city, and it's a basic service that they're not getting right now. With all due respect, I think the leadership at the DPW has been inconsistent since the former full-time commissioner left in March of 2012. In March of 2012, we've ultimately appointed an acting commissioner who has retired. We have an acting associate commissioner that's in there right now. We have a associate commissioner that's actually retired and not working, and now we have a new acting commissioner again. I think that we need to stabilize the leadership in the DPW so that we can be as efficient as possible.
Okay, Indra, one of the places that we get most of our money for doing the streets and the sidewalks and the crosswalk, it's actually called thermoplastic. It's not painting, but colloquially we just refer to it as sidewalk painting. It's Chapter 70 funds. And there's a certain reimbursement procedure that's followed with the state, and we get a certain amount of money allocated to us every year. So what I try to do is I try to balance out some of the main roads in different parts of the city, and then because we have 7 ward councilors who all kind of want a little bit of that pie for themselves, I try to do some of the side roads in each of the 7 wards, depending on how the councilors feel the most need is evident to them. So I mainly try to concentrate on the main roads, and just as you asked the question, I was going through. We've done so far Broad Street, and you know you've been down by North Shore. But Broad Street and Lewis Street have been done. Exchange Street has now been ground down, and that's going to be done very shortly. If you've been down Exchange Street near the item. Union Street, we got done. Franklin Street, Commercial Street, I got the bell, but we are working on the main roads and the smaller roads as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can always finish your sentence.
Online, your question now? Hello, Ann. Hello?
Hi, am I live? Hello? Hello? Hi. I'm a homeowner, yes. This question is for both candidates. I was wondering if the household hazardous waste program can be reinstated in the City of Lynn. I currently have a basement full of hazardous waste materials that I don't want to put in the trash. And I believe that right now a homeowner has to go to Braintree to Clean Harbors to dispose of these materials. I'd like to see that program reinstated, and also if it is reinstated, I think that it would be a benefit for the city to advertise that there is a place for homeowners to dispose of their waste materials rather than in the trash. Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate your concern, Ann, and as you mentioned, a lot of that is not governed by City of Lynn policies, but by state and even federal disposal regulations. We have a new contract that we're just about ready to sign with Waste Management, and I honestly don't know whether it contains the hazardous waste disposal or not. We can take some of it at DPW. There is a flyer that is available that will talk about what you can bring to some of those disposal days. We also have a program where you can take any mercury batteries and bring them over to the health department at City Hall or to ISD. And if you have any prescription medications, you can bring those to the health department or the Lynn Police Department as well. So we are trying to work within the confines of the state and regulations that constrain us. But if you want to leave your name and number, I can get you more details on what exactly can be disposed of and at what times down at DPW.
Thank you.
Yeah, just very briefly, you know, it's tough to answer your question specifically because of the umbrella of hazardous waste, what you may or may not mean. But there are restrictions, as Her Honor indicated, as to what you can or can't do. Should it be included in a new contract? I think it's something that should be seriously looked at. I know we have collection days for things like, you know, TVs and appliances and things like that that are available to the public, and those are pretty much posted on the website.
We have another caller on the line right now. Chris, are you there?
I am. This question is for Councilor Phelan. I'd like to ask him what type of leadership I, as a taxpayer, would expect if he was to become our next mayor of the City of Lynn. Thank you.
Well, I'll probably be repetitious, and when I talk about myself, I'm talking about myself, and you know, my intent is not to offend the current mayor. because I am who I am, and I'm trying to have people get to know me. But the people that do know me know that I am absolutely tireless. I have a lot of people helping me in my campaign, but nobody's working harder on my campaign than me. I am not afraid to push the envelope. I am not afraid to think out of the box and do things that we haven't done ever in the City of Lynn. We are ripe to prosper right now due to not one individual, not one particular department, but a city as a whole over years of doing things. But right now we're at a position where if we don't continue to move it forward, we're going to take 5 steps backward, and we can't do that. I believe that I'm the person that has the energy, the enthusiasm, the passion, that's not afraid to take chances and do things differently. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience that has a question they'd like to come up? Mr. Wood? Dick Wood, his father used to be a state representative years ago.
Thank you, Al. Good evening. My name's Rick Wood. I'm a Lynn resident for 20 years this year. Actually, I bought my bought my first home in Lynn in 1993. I'm a business owner, and as a Lynn resident, I'm very proud to have 2 wonderful candidates. I really think you bring a lot to the table, and so I think whoever prevails here will be well served. But as a member of the Chamber of Commerce and a business owner in the city, we have a very high commercial tax rate, and I was wondering if either you have any thoughts about how that might be lowered, and I think it would create more of an incentive to bring more businesses in. So, thank you.
Now I don't understand.
The mayor's turn
I think it is. Okay. Thanks for bearing with us, Rick. I believe that the way to take the burden off of the small businesses is to spread the obligation around to many businesses. It's the same way as anything else. So that's why I've been working so hard to bring businesses into the city. We have Market Basket coming in. That's going to create a huge increase in our commercial tax being paid. The same thing with Kettle Cuisine coming in, Demici's, Enzo's Pizzeria, Rossetti's Restaurant, and last week I just secured a deal with Ken's Kickin' Chicken. Has anybody ever been to Salem and had Ken's Kickin' Chicken? I see somebody waving. But we are attracting these businesses, and the more businesses we have in the city, the more able we will be to do something about that high tax rate. I agree with you. It is too high.
Kind of decrease, some symbolic decrease would be a big thing.
Right, and another way to show a decrease without actually changing the rate would be to change the relative burden that the residential pays versus the commercial pays. And it's called, when the city council votes on it, they're voting on whether to accept the lowest residential factor. So far, in all the years I served on the city council and all the years I've been mayor, it's always the lowest residential factor. There's never a break been given to the businesses. Right. So.
Thank you, Rick. Rick, I'm going to be very direct. Would not vote as a member of the City Council, and have never voted as a member of the City Council to shift that burden from the commercial to the residential. I've always supported the residential of the minimum residential tax factor, and I do so with my family owning a business, a building right in downtown. They made a commitment into the downtown Lynn area, where actually today they had a movie company touring their building for a John Travolta movie called Forgery that's coming up, which is kind of neat. But what we really have to do is we have to expand the commercial tax base. You can't, if you have existing businesses here, you can't just keep taxing because there's a limit of what you can tax. So what we have to do is when we look at the waterfront, the South Harbor, where nothing's happened on the South Harbor, and the Beacon Chevrolet site, nothing's happened on the Beacon Chevrolet site, what we have to do is we have to push the envelope to try to get those developed. I'm happy that the City Council approved tax incremental financing agreements as an incentive for Kettle Cuisine, for Demici's Bakery. We did special permits for Rossetti's, for Ernie's Harvest Time, and people will give us a hard time because they don't like the special permitting process. But with Ernie's Harvest Time, it actually worked. Can I just finish this thought? Ernie's Harvest Time was going where the old Sir Speedy building is. First came was a laundromat wanted to go there. The council didn't think that was the right use for what we're looking for downtown. Now we said no, and now we have a boutique, great grocery store that is going to be great for the residents that are down there. There's an example of it working.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you
Reed.
very much.
One quick thing I'd like to point out is that Rossetti's is a restaurant, and they want to locate in downtown. The only reason why they had to get a special permit is because no restaurant is allowed to locate in downtown without a special permit. That's one of the reasons why our zoning laws have to be overhauled. And in my 2012 address to the new City Council, I asked for them to take a good look at the zoning ordinance, and I'm still waiting to see any kind of changes like that that would make it easier to do business in the City of Lynn.
Sure. And you know, there are some things, you know, developers want to come in and they want to do everything by right, and everybody wants to be business friendly, but there are times where, because Lynn is such a residential community, there's time that we have to protect the neighborhood where there's a business that's located next to a residential community. What time are trucks going to be rolling in with their deliveries? What time are they going to be picking up dumpsters? Those are things that can be controlled with special permits. What are the aesthetics? The V&A building. It was almost 2 years of negotiating, myself personally negotiating, and that first plan was flat, 2 stories, all on the site with no green space, no trees, and look what we have now there. And look at the aesthetics of that because of the special permitting process.
We have Rosemary on the line. Thank you for your patience, Rosemary. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening. You both had mentioned what party you were affiliated with. Mr. Phelan mentioning that he was a Democrat, and Mayor Kennedy mentioning that she was a Republican. Do you think that should be a factor when running a city, or should experience be the prevailing factor? Thank you.
With you.
Sure. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your first name? Rosemary, thank you. Yeah, I don't think you should limit yourself to either one. Do I think it's a factor? I do. I do think it's a factor. I do think experience is a factor. Sometimes, you know, experience is a good thing, experience is a bad thing. You know, some people will vote party, some people will vote experience, some people will age, some people will gender, some people will vote youth. I think that everyone has to make their own individual decision, use the factors that are important to them, use the ideals that they think should lead our city in the future, and I don't think anything should be excluded when you make that decision.
Rosemary, good question. First of all, the Lynn City Charter requires that all city elections be nonpartisan, which is why when you go into the voting booth and you look at the ballot, you won't see Democrat or Republican on there. And I think some of the events that are happening right now regarding the debate in Congress on Syria are a very good indicator of just how blurred the lines are between the two major legal parties here in the United States. To me, Republican is, first of all, where my family originated, so it's in some ways something that we inherit, and I know Councilor Phelan's family was long-term Democrats. But I think it's more important to look at what the person stands for. Now, for me, I accept the Republican tenets, and they generally are considered a Republican platform of small government, limited government, personal responsibility, and fiscal responsibility. That's how I would define myself. And if that makes me a Republican, so be it. But those are really the guiding principles that I use as I lead the city in my role as mayor.
We have one more caller on the line right now. Sean, thank you also for waiting. Hi, Sean.
Hi. My question is for both Mr. Phelan and Mayor Flanagan. Do you have a position on the residential home values in the city, and mainly the impact on the foreclosed homes left by the bank to really just deteriorate within the neighborhoods, some of the smaller neighborhoods?
I think it's me.
I believe he said the mayor.
For both of them.
So
Well,
Mr.
actually, there was just an article in the item today, I think it was, that stated that the residential home values are rebounding right on pace with the rest of the state. And I don't remember the exact percentage, but I think it was something like 12.6%. So I think that the City of Lynn is no better nor worse than the rest of the state or the rest of the country insofar as seeing evidence that we're coming out of the recession and particularly the decline in home values. I see no reason to expect that trend not to continue. I believe it will continue, and the number of foreclosed properties that are left lingering out there have been consistently diminishing as we get some of those people who are now convinced that the market has reached its bottom, it's on its way back up. They suspect that interest rates are back on their way up again, and they're grabbing these bargains while they see them. So I think you'll see fewer and fewer of those properties that have been left abandoned by foreclosure as we go forward.
Council President.
Thank you. If I understand your question, the impact of these abandoned foreclosed properties on neighborhoods, one of the things about the city councilors and many of the ward councilors that I work with who are in the neighborhoods every single day, one house that's neglected and left alone, dilapidated, can ruin an entire neighborhood. What happens is when these banks that are located out in Wyoming foreclose on a property, historically they would just ignore it. People would break into it, they would steal the copper piping, the grass would get overgrown like this. We've taken a number of different approaches. If the city goes onto the property and has to clean the property, fix health hazards, we can actually put a lien. We adopted a state legislation that we can put a lien on the property so that we can get our money back for the cost of doing that. But also with the Homeowners Bill of Rights, one of the requirements is if a bank forecloses on the piece of property and owns the piece of property, they have to put up a $10,000 bond. So if they neglect the property and they leave it alone, it's not going to cost the taxpayers, and we can fix the property in the City of Lynn. And that's how you maintain these properties that are reducing values in particular neighborhoods.
I just wanted to let everybody at home know that we actually won't be able to take more callers because we've been getting so many, which is great though that everyone is so involved with this debate tonight. We appreciate that. But we are about to go to a break. And
before we go to a break, we want to remind everybody that the election is coming up on the 17th of September, that it's very important to participate and help your candidate over the next 2 weeks. No matter who you support, they work hard, they put a lot of long hours in. It's not an easy job. I can speak from having been there. It's something that, as I said in the beginning, you may disagree, but please don't be disagreeable with the candidates. They have given up a lot of their personal time and their personal life to serve the City of Lynn. And don't forget, we've mentioned a couple of new businesses downtown. We want to support them when they open up.
Okay.
Thank you.
You don't have to keep they're all like signaling me and making me crazy.
City's Voice is brought to you by Salon 234. Salon 234 is dedicated to delivering the highest quality service. We pride ourselves on being a visionary, full-service company specializing in the current hairstyle trends and skincare needs for all different types of skin. Our highly skilled staff are committed to meeting your needs with a spirit of caring and individual attention. Passion for excellence and dedication to the advancement of industry standards will continue to guide the evolution of our company. Come find yourself and unwind yourself.
This program has been sponsored by Old Time Italian Cuisine. Located at 612 Boston Street in Lynn, Mass., Old Time offers a variety of authentic Italian dishes ranging from pasta to chicken and more, with delicious desserts and fine wine. Bring your family down to their dining area or enjoy a drink at their full-service bar. Old Time Italian Cuisine. Great, authentic Italian food.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back tonight to our live debate here at LynnCAM TV with our mayoral candidates, Council President Tim Phelan and Mayor Kennedy. I just wanted to, again, thank you for being here tonight, as well to our studio audience and to everyone at home who's been calling in. It is now the time of the evening where we will do 2-minute closing statements for each candidate. And I we'll leave it to Magnolia to tell me who's supposed to go. When we did openings, you started, right?
Yes.
So at the beginning, so we'll start with Judy for her closing statement. You'll get 2 minutes, Judy.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you to everybody, both in the live audience and who called in and who have been watching on TV for tuning in. Choosing the leaders of your city is a very, very important civic task, and I appreciate that you took time out of your schedules in order to listen to Councilor Phelan and I debate the issues. Councilor Phelan and I have known one another for 22 years. I respect him. I would like to think he respects me as well. We both have your best interests in mind. I would not dispute that Councilor Phelan, will be a good mayor someday. However, I think I have shown you that for the past 4 years, I have been a good mayor, and I think I have deserved another 4 based on my track record to this point. Everything from reverse 911 to increasing the number of ticketed shows at the Lynn Auditorium from 2 to 4 a year back in 2009. Now we're doing 12 to 15 a year. And with the air conditioning going in, we'll have even more shows and more revenue and more people coming into the downtown area. Quality of life improvements from the dog park to the splash pad at Flax Pond to the new splash pad that will be going on down behind McManus Field. The bandstand renovations to the Lynn Commons, the designation of an arts and cultural district downtown, the return of Third Thursdays, our dog park over on Parkland Avenue. These are just a few of the amenities and a few of the improvements that have made in the city. I want to continue to be your leader for the next 4 years, and I respectfully ask for your vote on September 17th and November 5th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Cassie, Magnolia, LynnCAM for having me down here tonight. You know, for us to move the city to the next level, I think we have to recognize that it's not about credit, it's not about blame, but future accomplishment and working together. You know, do I like the dog park? The dog park is nice. But I think over the past 4 years, we could have had more built than just that. People tell me that I'm never going to win, that you can't beat the power of the corner office, that you're the underdog. But I tell them, you know, they said the same thing to the Red Sox in 2004 against the Yankees. People tell me that I'll never win, that the corner office has big developers behind them, big banks, a lot of money. But I tell people that money doesn't vote, people vote. You know, people tell me, you know, when I knock doors, well, things haven't gone wrong in the last 4 years. And I say to them, if that's your standard, then you shouldn't vote for me. But when has our standard got to that place? I think that we should just expect more. If you're looking for leadership, if you're looking for energy, you're looking for innovation, you're looking for somebody who's not afraid to take a risk or push the envelope, someone's not afraid to hold people accountable, and has the ability to work together with people, then I am the one for you. If you're about the, you know, I think it's time that we stopped talking and started sweating more for this city so that we can move it forward. If you're looking for someone who knows that it's not about the work that's been done, but rather the work that we have left to do, then I'm the guy for you. You know, Lynn's not about rich or poor, or black versus white, or older versus younger. You know, it's about knowing that tough talk is not a substitute for sound judgment. And that's what I bring to the table. I tell people not what they want to hear, but what they need to know. I want you to vote for me because you think I'm qualified and you think I care. Not because you know me or you know someone in my family. I want you to vote for me because you think I can lead this city back to greatness. Because if you don't think those things, you should not vote for me. But what I say to you is the United States Constitution gives you the right to vote, but the families, the children, the people, and the neighborhoods give you the responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you, for being here tonight. Again, thank you, Magnolia and Al, our audience here in the studio, and everyone at home for tuning in and being involved. We really appreciate having you tune into LynnCAM TV. We're here for you to get the word out about things that are important to you in your community. So please continue to tune in, and to all of my crew and everyone here, thank you as well. Have a great night.
These are my people, this is my song. Dirty streets where I belong. This is my town, this is my city now. This is my city now. This is my town, this is my city. This is my town, this is my city now. These are my people, this is my song. Dirty streets where I belong. This is my town, this is my city now. This is my city now. 'Cause this is my town, this is my city. Through my eyes, look so pretty. This is my town, this is my city now. These are my people, this is my song. Dirty streets where I belong. This is my town, this is my city now.